Well, to be too capital G here, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the time has finally arrived. The Spyral Invasion of the OCG is here, and holy shit, I could not be happier. And honestly, I could not be more shocked, because if you would have told me, like, I don't know, 9 months ago that Spyral would be like one of the best decks in the game anywhere, I'd be like, come on now, you're pulling my leg. There's no effing way. But what a difference that one single card makes, guys. I told you in that Yu-Gi-Oh story, The World's Strongest, about Gladiator Beast. When they got Grizaris, it was like a completely new deck, and I think that we're seeing the second coming here with Spyrals. Double Helix has just made such a huge difference, and it doesn't seem what source you actually check. I'm over here, obviously, at Road of the King, and if you check on YG Organization and their OCG tournament coverage, it's like every other deck is freaking Spyral, and it seems like the Dinosaur Yang Zing deck might have actually been surpassed. Now, I know that there will be some detractors that say, hey Cap, calm it down. It's just the first week, but you guys have to understand, like, the OCG seems to be very momentum based, and the fact that a deck like Spyrals could come out and instantly have a ton of tops, first place, second place, third place, and then you compare it to something like Magical Musketeers that had like one top the entire first week, and it's like, well, this isn't a very good sign. Remember what Burning Abyss did when they first came out in the OCG? That shit just completely took over the meta, and Konami was like, all right, we're gonna have to go ahead and hit Dante. It looks like Spyrals are achieving basically the same results. Now, what's really interesting is I did not see this coming, and I don't mean the dominance of Spyral. Well, actually on this level, maybe not, but there are actually multiple different variants. There's just your pure Spyrals. There's an ancient gear build, which is pretty cool, because what people do is they use set rotation in the deck, and they'll give themselves a copy of the Spyral Resort, and they'll give their opponent a Gear Town, and then they'll go ahead and they'll special summon the Super Agent. They'll blow up the Gear Town, and then they'll get a big ass monster straight from their deck, and it's like, all right, you're basically off to the races at that point. Let me go ahead and show you guys one of the builds. Okay, cool, it didn't time out. This is one of the builds of Spyral. I chose this one in particular. Obviously, there's a bunch of different top builds you can choose from, but I chose this one because I think that it translates really nicely to the TCG. Obviously, by the time Circuit Break comes out, we'll have all of these cards at our disposal. There's nothing in here that's exclusive to the OCG. There's actually, I've heard there are even some 60 card versions of Spyrals where people will play like That Grass Looks Greener, and the reason they do that is people were playing the Spyral Miss and Rescue. Remember this card that everybody thought was bad? And I guess under the circumstances with the card pool we had, it was kind of a bad card, but this does kind of act as a Monster Reborn. So if you do happen to use something like, or if you get this in the graveyard off of That Grass Looks Greener, you can basically just reborn one of your Spyrals, and that kind of alleviates the problem of if you don't happen to have double summon, or if you don't happen to open with the machine duplication plus quick fix combo, you can still basically go into your double helix. Because I feel like if you resolve double helix, I think you basically just win the game. I think if you open with quick fix plus machine duplication, that is more than enough advantage to beat just about every deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! And I don't, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and make a comparison. I think a lot of people are actually going to like this deck when it comes to the TCG, because what it actually reminds me of, it reminds me so much of Plant Synchro. I mean, yes, you are basically running Spyrals, but it seems like your paths to victory and all the plays that this deck can do, they're almost limitless. And I think that, you know, obviously the Link Summon mechanic has gotten knocked by everybody and their mama, but I think Spyrals are like the perfect archetype for Link Summoning, because the thing about Spyrals is, historically, they've always been able to get a ton of monsters on the board. Yes, a lot of times it comes from machine duplication and quick fix, because that gives you like a billion cards. You're just adding cards to your hand, and you know, with 1-for-1, you don't even technically have to use your normal summon, and you have like 3 quick fixes on the field. But a lot of times with Spyrals, it's like you really couldn't do anything with all of those cards and all of those resources, because, you know, you have very little monsters. Quick fix has like, what, 500 attack or something like that. But the Link Summon is perfect for Spyrals because obviously they don't have tuners. the monster levels are all over the place. They have 1, they have 7, I believe, is the master plan. You have a bunch of 4s and stuff like that. So exceeding was never really an option either, but it allows you to take all of those resources that you've gotten, kind of consolidate them into one monster, and then just kind of go from there. And it's a really this is a really interesting thing that's happening in the OCG. Now, you guys might notice not a lot of traps in this deck. This deck is super aggressive, which is why I'm looking at it in the TCG and I'm thinking, oh my, we don't have Vanity's Emptiness, and you know, Dimensional Barrier doesn't cover the Link Summon. We have 1 Max C. I'm looking at Spirals and I'm thinking, oh my god, this shit might tear the TCG a new asshole. And it's actually interesting that some people are playing Winter Cherries in the main again. Now, I actually thought about this, and it was one of the reasons why I wanted to hold on to my playset of Cherries, because I was like, you know, if Firewall Dragon becomes so big where people are doing these herp derp, you know, FTKs, maybe people will play Cherries to kind of counteract Firewall Dragon, but we might see people start playing Cherries just to counteract the Double Helix. And you see in this build, actually, it's used not just for Double Helix, but if you play against the Dinosaur deck, you can get rid of the Denlong, you can get rid of ABC Buster Dragon if you run into that. You can get rid of Dark Law. Spirals don't use up a ton of space in their extra deck. I think it's because they only have 1 true extra deck monster, so the rest can just be Lynx, and you know, you can run a couple of Dullahan, but the Ghost Trick Exceed, but the rest can kind of just be whatever you want. Now, people have already caught on to this. The hype is real. People are saying, man, Circuit Break next month when it comes out, because I'm pretty sure, obviously I don't have any confirmation or anything like that, but you guys know that we get rarity bumps all the time in the TCG. That's not what I meant to click. This is what I meant to click. Spyral Double Helix is a secret rare in the OCG, and from what I've heard, it's pushing like $60 in the OCG. So if it's that expensive in the OCG, you guys know damn well when Circuit Break comes out, this is going to be a fucking secret rare. And I think that we are looking at our next $100 card. I think that if I was a betting man, I would probably say that Quick Fix, or excuse me, not Quick Fix, that Double Helix is going to be the $100 card of the set. It's going to be the Dragonic Diagram, or the Ash Blossom, or the Zodiac Barrage. And yeah, the secondary market has already started acting accordingly. You see right here, Super Agent is back to its $15 point. I don't remember if Super Agent ever got reprinted in the Megatons. I feel like it didn't, but I mean, it obviously is going to be a value card, because every version of Spyral ever is going to run like 3 copies of it. Even the freaking drone, which people run 3 copies of, this was like a 30-cent card, and I mean, this is a heavily played version, so this is probably a version that you don't want. This is pushing almost $3, so the card has multiplied its value by 10, and this was the most predictable. Obviously, the super rare version of Quick Fix, this is $11. Holy crap. Even Big Red. Now, Quick Fix and Big Red obviously are still cards that you can get in like rare. You can still get them in like common and stuff like that. So, you know, you don't necessarily have to go out and spend $14, but if you're really a big avid fan of Spirals, you're like Team Innovation Yu-Gi-Oh! Anytime I bring up Spirals, I feel obligated to to mention my homie, because he was like the original Spiral fan. Okay, there we go. We just timed out. I feel like this is going to be very interesting, guys, especially, well, I mean, how could we not get a new ban list by Circuit Break? We could be looking at the deck that is going to dominate this new format, which we don't even know what it's going to be in the TCG, because if you really watch this deck go off, it's like a work of magic, man, and it has so many different plays, and there are so many different like 2-card combos. In fact, I would actually recommend that all of you guys go here. I'm gonna have this link to Road to the King, and it actually shows some of the combos that you can do with like Dragon's Ravine and Foolish Burial Goods, sending the rescue mission to the graveyard, and just some of the plays that aren't the most obvious ones, like the you know, the machine duplication. But the point of the deck is basically get the Double Helix, resolve that effect, and basically just tear your opponent a new asshole. So what do you guys ultimately think? Do you think that this is too much hype? I don't know if I see a deck doing this well know, on the LCG circuit in its first week and just doing nothing in the TCG. I mean, it could happen, but there have been other decks like Weather Painters and Magical Musketeers, and a lot of the anime decks like the Magiverits, or excuse me, the Auto Verits and whatnot. Like, they haven't done really well in the OCG, and I don't know, maybe we have our first big, I guess, Link era deck that's Link based, even though Spyral's they obviously weren't Link based until Konami decided. And actually the irony is it's interesting, Konami, you know, they gave Subterrors a Link monster, and we were all like, yeah, this is not that good, and Subterrors are just like, they're sitting in the corner like, why aren't we meta? Anyways, I don't even know what I'm talking about. You guys let me know what you think in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already. Turn on those freaking notifications too. I gotta start putting that in there as well.